Good evening, everyone. This is Corporal Isaacson. I will be conducting a hip pocket class on how to camouflage yourself. I will also be going over later on, hopefully, how to deal with drones and how to avoid them, and also some of the nasty realities of just dealing with them in general. First thing I want to cover is the human body. Now, in nature, there are a lot of objects and shapes, sizes, things like that. Like the arm, if I stand like this, could be mistaken for like a tree, or my legs, things like that, or branches. But this shape right here, this T, is not a naturally occurring object in nature. And so this in particular is the part that we want to kind of disrupt, disorient, and get rid of in general to help us blend in with our surroundings. There are a couple things you can do for that. Generally, like hats, like boonie covers, do a decent, alright job of doing that, breaking up that silhouette. Helmets with like scrim or camouflage on them also can help with that. Though it's not the greatest because they do make your profile stand out more, but it's better than nothing. Viper hoods, ghillie suits, things like that obviously also help. Personally, what I really like is if I know I'm going to be in an area for a while, I like to set up some kind of like mesh netting. This kind of helps disorient the light and gets rid of like my silhouette, if you will, and helps provide like a false, what snipers would call like a wall of green. This really helps disorient light when placed well. You could also put foliage into this, and it helps it kind of give it a more natural look as well. If you're doing like a hasty fortification or position, this can go a long way. Let's see what other kinds of camouflage we got here. Scrim. For anyone who doesn't know what scrim is, this is what scrim looks like on a helmet. It's just something to help like break up the silhouette. This is extremely important on the battlefield because it'll make it harder for snipers and enemy riflemen to like target your head and take accurate headshots at you. The Israelis have a really good system of dealing with this. They have like these like what look like oversized chef hats that fit over their head. It makes it really hard to tell exactly where their head is and make an accurate shot. Viper hood, personally, this is my favorite because this not only gets rid of your head but your entire upper body. It helps like disorient all of this. I can also add foliage into this, and unlike a ghillie suit, I can move around really well in this, not be like encumbered. I'm not encumbered, and it's lightweight, and I'm not going to overheat in this very easily, at least if I'm drinking enough water. The other things that I like to use is net gaiters to help cover up my face, face paint. Generally, any exposed skin you do want to minimize and get rid of, because skin is extremely shiny and it's going to stand out in nature like a sore thumb. Anyone's going to see you. Even like, I know this is kind of ridiculous, but I was playing an airsoft game, what was it, last year, and there was this guy walking by. I didn't see him immediately because I was in some thick brush, but he did have this much skin from like the wrist to here exposed, and it flashed in the sunlight. That little flash gave him away, and I was able to get the drop on him and shoot him. Alright, moving on from like basic camouflaging yourself. I'd like to talk a little bit about just like, I guess, environment lighting and camouflaging and how that kind of like plays a role in disfiguring yourself. I guess the biggest thing in particular, like what I've noticed in the woods, is just avoiding sunlight, not silhouetting yourself. Think of them like as like massive spotlights. You want to avoid sunlight in the woods as much as possible, because that's going to magnify your silhouette 100 times over. Because not only is the person going to see like a flash of light, but they're also going to see movement. That really is eye-catching in the woods when everything's really dark and like shaded. So stay away from the sunlight, stay in some trees, get underneath some bushes, stuff like that. Another really important thing that comes to mind also when dealing with camouflaging is, I guess, the rule of coloring. And basically the rule goes that any color that is light can be made dark, but any color that is dark cannot be made light. So like, for example, like your Marpat or like something like this is a very dark color. I cannot make this lighter. But anything that's light, like say something like this, I can make this darker. I can smear mud on this. I can cover it with some other type of like camo netting or something and make this darker. Or I can throw like branches or leaves or something on that and make it darker. Any number of things, but I can't. But with something that's darker, I can't make it lighter. So that's great, I guess, since we wear coyote. So if you think that coyote, like plate carrier or whatever you're happening to be wearing on yourself that's lighter, you can smear some mud on that. You can stick some foliage in it, help break up your coloring and your silhouette, make yourself kind of blend in a little bit better. Okay, that is a lot of rambling. Sorry for that. My thoughts are a little disorganized on this. I guess my personal, professional advice, at least for Marines, is utilize scrim on your helmets if command will allow it. That'd be great. Try to get rid of this T, whether that be draping some like mesh netting around your head or utilizing some kind of viper hood. You can even get mesh ones. Actually, I have one. Something even like this, just run over your head like so, can kind of help break up your silhouette. Boonie hats, stuff like that. Yeah, just, oh yeah, and utilizing obviously your surroundings, your foliage that you find in nature, and obviously also covering up any exposed skin. I think that kind of covers most of the basics of camouflaging and being in the woods. I guess the only other thing I'd like to add is that, or I guess I'd like to harp on, is don't silhouette yourself, don't overexpose yourself. Like I said, stay away from sunlight as much as possible, as much as you can, because that will highlight you. Don't stand on ridge lines where you're going to be silhouetted by the sky or anything. Stick in some trees, stay in some bushes. Yeah, those are your best friends. Now that I've kind of rambled on for a little while about like camouflaging yourself and all that, I'd like to talk a little bit about drones and just kind of trying to deal with them. Now, from what I understand and gather, if you're maneuvering during the day and the weather's really nice, you're going to get found. It's just a matter of time and how quickly that's going to happen. Staying in the trees or in, some kind of tree line or in the bushes are only going to help so much, especially if they're running thermals. You're eventually going to be found. Especially if you're moving, it's just, like I said, it's just a matter of time. Now, the ways around this, thermal is not all seeing. It can be defeated. And there are a couple ways to do that. believe it or not, layering to a certain extent can help. Loose clothing, obviously, uh, uh, thermal camouflage, that is the thing, yes, definitely helps a lot. Um, can completely get rid of your thermal signature. But if you don't have access to that, other things you can do are to move during bad weather. So planning your maneuvers around like when it's going to rain or in the early mornings when it's super foggy. Fog really fucks with things like lasers and thermals. I would know. I have a pair of thermals, and seeing anything in the fog or when it's super misty is it's a bitch. Like it's just fucking useless. You can't use it at all. Um, so utilize that knowledge to your advantage. Also, um, moving at night can also make it harder to find you. Now, granted, there is still the threat of thermals, but it's much easier than like a drone just flying overhead without its thermals activated and going and looking to see a bunch of dumb fucks just walking through the woods because, you know, they're silhouetting themselves. So, yeah, I do advise to also move at night, utilizing your night vision. And as and if you do have to move during the day, um, I guess just keeping an eye to the sky and utilizing all the cover you have is probably your best bet. But even then, that can only go so far, and most likely you are on borrowed time, especially if a drone knows you're in the area and are looking for you. It's, yeah, like I said, it's just a matter of time. That pretty much covers everything I have right now. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm pretty sure I missed something. I'd be glad to answer your questions. I've done a bunch of research on this stuff. And if you're curious about like what any of this stuff is called, or where to get it, or how to make it, also feel free to reach out to me. I've gone down this rabbit hole. I know where to find it. But yeah, sorry for all the rambling, and I hope this helps. Yeah, Raw Marines.